Hi, I'm Donna Ray.
And I'm Al Wadley.
Welcome to our podcast, Feldenkrais for Life.
In each episode, we will discuss ideas and experiences pertaining to the Feldenkrais method.
You're going to learn skills that will move pain to comfort, anxiety to ease, and we'll explore learning and how to spark creativity.
To learn more about Donna, visit her site at donnaray.com.
To find Al Wadley, go to achievingexcellence.com.
Good morning, Donna.
Hi, Al. Good to see you. It's been quite a while.
It has been a minute or two. How you been?
I've been pretty good, going through some life changes. I'm actually relocating to be closer to my children. That's a very big move for me because I've been in this home for more than 30 years. So I'm embarking on a big life change.
That is huge. That is a big change. Having moved several times in the last 10, 15 years, I can really relate to the enormity of that project.
It's enormous. And the main thing I'm doing that we practice in the Feldenkrais method is one box at a time, one drawer at a time, one shelf at a time, and just plodding along. And it's not so bad. I mean, a lot gets done when you slow down and focus and take breaks. So not exhausting myself with it, taking breaks, and I'm giving myself a few months, so it's, not under the gun. I'm happy that I know how to apply the principles of the Feldenkrais method to this life situation.
Well, I am too. I'm glad you know that as well. I do my best to try to apply that to my own situations. Yeah, chunking things down into small, achievable pieces with rests in between. You can keep going like this for a very long time and not get fatigued. In fact, if you keep it fresh like that, it can actually be enjoyable and interesting. And you can have your curiosity engaged. So you can be going through stuff in your garage and you can find some things that have, memories or some things you've forgotten about or some things you wonder, why am I still holding on to this? And lots of things can pop up. It can be a kind of journey and exploration through memories towards moving towards your bigger goal of living next to your kids and being close to your grandchildren.
That's it. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating to go over things and to hold objects and to say, does this have meaning for me now? Maybe it did 20 years ago, but it doesn't anymore. And put it in the giveaway bin,
Yeah, yes.
So it's a lot of evaluating what's important. And that's also, it's the beginning of 2026. I don't know, listeners, when you'll hear this, but it is, the 5th or 6th of January now? 4th. It's the 4th of January. So it's a brand new year too.
It is. Fresh start.
Yeah.
Revitalize yourself.
That's right.
Do it with the Feldenkrais lesson.
I do that almost every day in the morning, and I just feel like it changes every single day that I live.
I agree. I do one almost every morning, do one every night. Do one almost every morning too. I just love it. I look forward to it. I love looking at the lessons I'm going to do. And I just love getting on the floor and just giving myself over to the lesson and just being immersed in that experience, just flowing through it. And it's like I lose sense of time and I've just immersed in it. It's a beautiful experience.
Well, and that immersion is moving into the sensory realm, isn't it?
It totally is, yeah.
So we drop our thinking, our analysis of life and all the decisions that we have to make as we move deeper and deeper into this sensory appreciation mode. And it automatically happens when we begin the lesson, sometimes people call it a body scan or a self-scan. We pay attention to all the different parts of ourselves resting on the floor. And as soon as we start to embrace the sensory, we just begin to let go.
Yeah. We move into that sensory realm and it engages our thinking in a new way. It doesn't turn it off, but it brings the thinking into the sensory realm. thinking more in sensation. We're thinking more in that rich, three-dimensional sense of self, away from the, if it's two-dimensional, but kind of two-dimensional auditory chit-chat, thinking about things.
Yeah, and there's something much more abstract about the thinking that's lacking a sensory perspective. We're thinking about the future or things we're going to do, or like we were talking about if you're moving or sorting or cleaning, what's important. But all of that is relatively abstract.
Yeah. Or thinking about the past, ruminating over something, or fantasizing about something altogether differently. TV show or whatever, movie you watched or book you've been reading,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. And it's not in the sensory moment at all.
Mhm.
It's quite removed from that. And when we get into a Feldenkrais lesson, we let that all go. We come into our sensory self and embody that, which
Mm.
is really quite incredible.
It is incredible, and we can sort of manipulate the sensory exploration with many, I guess you would just say, approaches, based like pressing the floor with your foot, for example. So we change the pressure. So sometimes first we just scan ourselves and sense how much pressure is on the floor in different parts of ourselves, or compare the weight of your head to your pelvis and your heels, for example. So that's weight and pressure on the floor. But then you can actually press your heels or press your pelvis, press your head, and play with that kind of sensory discretion.
Yeah. So if you press your heel, increase the pressure, something else is going to lighten its contact. Something else is going to lift somewhere else. And that's an interesting question. What is going to lift, where, and how much?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, now your mind is curious about what's happening when you simply press one heel and then sense what's happening in response. And then you can press the other one, and actually you're going to find something different happening.
Mhm.
And that's often a surprise for people.
Yeah, it is. It is a surprise. We really start paying attention to our sensations and these movements, these things that have been just really outside our conscious awareness altogether. We start paying attention, like we hold back this veil that's been obfuscating our ability to really sense what we're doing in the moment. And through these lessons, we press through the heel. We start to feel how other parts of ourselves move in relationship to that.
Yeah.
That had been outside our conscious awareness. Now we bring it into our conscious awareness. We really appreciate it. Now we're starting to get to know ourselves in a way that most people do not aware of how we are unconsciously organized, our unconscious habits. Yeah, and we can start to interact with them. And that's juicy.
It's fun. It's interesting.
It is.
Huh. Something else happens in a Feldenkrais lesson that people may not be aware of. If we're doing something like pressing the floor and then stopping the pressure, we're actually activating a neuromuscular response. And Feldenkrais came up with lessons where that's the primary aspect of the lesson. You press and let go and press and let go. And you might do it lying on your back side, lying on your front side. You can even do it on your right or left sides. But as you do it, you're activating this neuromuscular pattern. So muscles are letting go and they're activating. And that whole process creates a new organization. And then you feel it when you're resting, and you actually sense and feel it when you stand up. And most of the time, people feel lighter and easier movement. Sometimes they report feeling more grounded or heavier, but at the same time, the quality of movement is easier. There's a different intention with the lessons that we teach, where there's scanning involved like that, different from meditation. And I enjoy meditation and I use it, but I'm aware that it's often to give the mind something to do. So noticing your breathing, noticing parts of your body, for example, if you're going into relaxation before sleep. The intention is different in a Feldenkrais lesson. Can you say more about that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I also contrast that to exercise or yoga, something like that. And so the intentions around, like you're describing meditation or kind of exercise thing is a very different. I'm going to go back to the conscious, unconscious thing again. So it's very much about having your conscious intention to work with your voluntary movements that you're aware of. So you're lifting weights, you're doing your curls, or your bench press, or your squats, whatever, or you're getting into your yoga poses. And it's all very much about having a goal in mind and working towards a certain number of reps or getting into a certain kind of position, or in meditation to engage your mind to think about this, or your breath or a mantra or to look at a candle, this kind of thing. And when we get into the Feldenkrais lessons, as I mentioned earlier, we're pulling back this veil on your unconscious habits. So you start to sense what you're actually doing. Feldenkrais said over and over again, if you know what you're doing, you can do what you want. What he meant by that is when you become aware of your unconscious habits, then you can start to interact with them. You can start to change them. You start to have some agency over them. Instead of them running you in the background, you start to have some way to start to shape that in a way that you want to have a better, more comfortable way of being in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
That was fantastic. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
And it's, it can only, to understand what we're talking about, the only way you can understand it is to do some lessons, and not one lesson, do at least a dozen lessons, because they're very, very different. We have probably thousands of different lessons because you'll teach them different ways. And so when people say, oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me, please never say that. Do another lesson, because it takes a while, first of all, to enjoy the process. I mean, some people immediately love it. There are people like that. I'm one of those people, and I think you are one of those people, but some people not.
I got functional integration lessons first.
Okay.
I loved that. That had a huge, huge influence on me. I sat, stood, walked, felt better almost immediately after getting functional integration lessons. When I got introduced to awareness through movement, ATM, I was not used to sensing myself like that. Used to having my attention guided. I found the movements unusual and they were so challenging. It wasn't a hit for me right away.
Mm-hmm.
It actually wasn't until I got into the training. I got into the training because I was just mesmerized by functional integration. So that's what got me in there. So I wanted to learn that. And of course, ATM is part of the training, a big part of the training. And then when I got into the training and I was just immersed in it, like you're saying, doing more than one, and it's just we did like 4 a day. It's like this immersion. It's just like, then it just kind of blew my mind and I started to sensing myself just so interesting, so fascinating. It was just rich and embodied. It's like nothing I'd ever experienced before. That was my path in. So it didn't resonate at first. It took me, the emotion is what got me in there.
Yeah. Well, so listeners, remember that, because I took one workshop, my first awareness through movement lesson. I was like, where do I go? I want to teach this. I want to experience it. And then I had functional integration, the hands-on work, and then that completely blew my mind too. So some people, it's an immediate favorable response. Others, it has to grow on you. And I think it's, underlining what you said, you weren't used to sensing yourself in this way. It was a completely different way to approach yourself in your learning. And so it took several, perhaps days or lessons of lying on the floor to really go deeply into the process.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It was a very, amazing experience.
Yeah. And I remember you mentioned that a student recently said he realized on his own that audio lessons, listening, instead of watching videos of people moving, was much more powerful for him. And that's the reason we don't promote videos, because we want you to stay focused on your own sensory process. And if you're watching somebody else move, you try to do it like they're doing it, and their way isn't your way.
That's right. That's the whole thing about the Feldenkrais method and these lessons is you do them to discover your own self through these lessons. So there's almost all of Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais's workshops that he would start off with that I've listened to. He'd have people start with a movement on the floor, usually in the beginning of the workshop. And then he'd stop everybody except for like 3 people. And he'd have those 3 people do the movement. Everybody else watches them. And he'd pick on 3 more people. and have them do the movement. And everybody watches them. He picked those people because they were all doing it in different ways. They're processing the instructions through their model of the world, through their self-image, and they're expressing it in this unique way that showed up differently in these movements. And so he used that as a way of going, look, everybody's different. Everybody's going to interpret these instructions differently, at least in the beginning. So we go through the lesson, things become more and more similar. People become more and more similar the way they do it. At the beginning, we need to have that freedom to not constrain ourselves to what we're seeing somebody on a video do.
Yes.
Limit ourselves like that. We want to have that freedom to develop that through ourselves and let go of our own habits that limit us. That's what the lessons are about. So that's the beauty of not watching video and just doing it in the audio
And then,
system.
What you said too was so important is that when people stay with the method and do it over time, and if you have a large group, you go back to looking at how people are moving, people actually become more and more similar. But they don't necessarily start out that way because they actually have to learn through their own filters and perceptions what efficient movement is. And they have to become aware of all the ways that they're efforting more than necessary. And so people have these peculiar ideas also about how things should be done. So they do things in a peculiar way because they think that's what you're asking them to do. I mean, there's so many facets to it. But eventually it's like you start to wipe away, kind of polish the silver until everybody starts sparkling in the room and they look efficient and elegant in their movement.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't copy efficiency from a video. You have to find it through your own internal experience.
Yeah. And there is something really gratifying about doing it in groups. So if you have the opportunity to attend a workshop, during the day, and sometimes actually workshops on Zoom, because you still have a community and you can watch other people. So there's an advantage to having some time with a group, whether it's on Zoom or in person, while you're doing the lessons. And the more you do that, then the easier it is to do the lessons at home on your own by listening to recordings. Yeah, so I love this topic.
Me too.
The enhancement of sensory awareness is like entering into a brand new playground that you've never been in before.
It is. It is. It's rich. It's so rich.
And when we do that, so often after the lesson, you get up, you stand up, you move, you feel good. It's pleasurable to stand tall and walk around without any effort. And then lo and behold, solutions start to pop up. Solutions to problems that you were not thinking about while you're doing the lesson, but problems that you have maybe before you went to the floor. So your mind actually can do more than one thing at a time, and you don't have to focus on finding a solution. It's like the other parts of your brain that are working simultaneously. And that is so incredible, isn't it?
It is. Get your conscious mind out of the way for a while. Let your unconscious mind just work on the problem, and whether you're intending to or not, it'll come to your conscious awareness.
Yeah. So if you're making any big decisions at the beginning of this year or at any time, because we don't know when you're going to listen to this exactly, do a lesson and see what comes to the surface without thinking about the challenge that you're facing.
Yeah. So I have a suggestion, Donna. So we started out talking about the sensory scan. Would you like to guide us through a brief sensory scan?
Sure. So people are probably sitting or standing like you are.
And standing.
Maybe you should do it because I have a cough.
Okay.
You want to do it?
Sure.
I'm kind of struggling a little bit.
All right. So whether you're sitting, standing, or lying, any way will work. And we'll do this. We'll scan one side and we'll scan the other side. So you get to see the contrast of what happens just by doing a scan. So first, bring your attention to your right foot. If you're sitting, probably have the sole of the right foot on the floor. If you're lying on the floor, you probably have the back of the heel on the floor. If you're standing, the whole foot's on the floor. So you sense your foot. and get a sense of which parts of the foot are making contact. And then gently move your attention up and sense the lower leg. So sense the calf and back. And sense the bone in front, the shin bone. And then gently move your attention up to your knee. Sense your knee. Is your knee, is it bent a little bit? Or is it straight? How would you sense that? And bring your attention up into the upper leg, thigh. Sense the thigh. Move your attention up into the right hip joint, right side of the pelvis, sensing the right buttock and the right hip. Move your attention up and sense around the waist on the right side. The small ribs and back. And up to the ribs on the side and the back, the front of the chest. Moving up into the upper part of the chest, the upper part of the back. Sense the shoulder blade and back on the right side. The ribs in front. Sense the right shoulder. The right arm. And notice if there's a little bend in the right elbow, if the elbow is straight. Is the right wrist bent or straight? Are the fingers curled? And sense the right side of your neck. And the right side of your face. Sense the right side of your forehead and your right eye. Your right nostril and cheek. Right side of your mouth, chin, and jaw. And sense the right ear. And just pause for a few moments and expand your attention again and sense and compare your two sides. Notice if you feel something more on one side than the other. One side feels more alive, more vital, fuller. If you're lying or sitting, you could stand up if you want and compare the sensations in standing. You might find there's a difference in the way the weight goes through the legs, the way the chest hangs, sensations in your face. Now let's do the other side. So sense your left foot, contact of your left foot, and sense your left lower leg, the left knee, the thigh of your left leg, and the left side of your pelvis, including the hip joint and the buttock, the hip. Sense the left side of your lower back, the ribs to the left side of the spine, around the side of the chest, in the front, connecting to the sternum on the left side, and the left shoulder blade. And then sense the left shoulder, the arm, the elbow, notice if it's bent or straight. Sensing the forearm, the wrist, the fingers. And sense the left side of your neck, left side of your head, the left ear, your left eye, left cheek, left side of your mouth and jaw. And just take a few moments again, spread your attention and sense your whole self again. Now compare your two sides. What differences do you perceive? What did you notice, Donna?
I noticed that I'm so much more comfortable and that I have less of the impulse to cough. So I think that's with the reduction of effort. It's like everything opened up a little bit more. I felt a dramatic difference between the right and left sides after doing one side, and I was so pleased when you said, "Oh, we're going to do the other side now." Relieved that we were going to do both.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that was just so calming and so pleasurable. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Self-scans are just awesome.
They are awesome. And I have to say, your voice is lovely, and it was very nice to be guided. And I really love listening. I love listening to your lessons. I even listen to my lessons because I don't have to anticipate what to do next or decide. And reading, I could read a lesson and do it, and I can even remember lessons. But I love the sound of your voice, and it's just so soothing. So,
Thank you.
and I want to say to the listeners, Al did not once refer to the body the entire time.
It's true.
You talked about all these different aspects of sensory attention. So we never had to translate what it means to go with our attention from sensory observation of the different aspects of ourselves to what the body is doing, because that creates dualism. And you have to decipher then what the body's doing, and it takes us out of the depth of the sensory experience. So really appreciate that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, referring to the body, it layers on, puts a layer of effort on the whole sensing process.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it.
Almost like a little bit of dissociation.
Yeah.
You're not fully in yourself. You're kind of removed from it. I've heard some scans do that intentionally, not Feldenkrais scans, but other stuff where you look at your quote unquote body from above and you kind of scanning. I don't think that's as great. It's not as rich as doing it from the inside.
It's not as rich. And you can even say, if you want to observe yourself, you can say, observe yourself from above. You're still then observing yourself. You're not observing your body. So it's dissociative to continuously refer to the body. So yeah, that was delightful. So I hope everybody's really enjoyed our conversation today. We love talking to you and hearing your comments. So please give us requests and comments, and we'll address them.
Yes, indeed. Okay, Donna, it's good to see you and talk with you again.
You too.
Again soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
If you'd like to follow up with a question, send an email to info@feldenkreisforlife.com. We would love to hear from you.
You can learn more about us on our websites.
You can find Al at achievingexcellence.com.
You can visit my site to join my classes and reach out to me for private lessons online or at my Longmont studio. You'll find my store, the Feldenkrais store, there as well. We can purchase books, audio products, and videos. Donna's website is donnaray.com.
And if you visit my website, you'll find that I'm offering individual sessions, group classes in the Feldenkrais method, mentoring groups, professional Feldenkrais training program information, and recorded lessons.
Thank you again so much for joining us. We look forward to you hearing us next week.
Bye now.
Bye.